Hi, this is Liz Bodine, and this is a video reflection of my Google Sites that I created for virtual libraries. In the homepage, I wanted just the right amount of white space and graphics and text so that things weren't overwhelming. And all the research that we've read in class, it just talks about how it's good to find a balance within the homepage so that you don't scare people off with too much information. And so I think my first page here, my homepage, does a good example of just giving a brief overview, some quick links, the most used things here in our library. Gives you a quick idea of who works where, the library schedule, so what we might be up to, and how to contact us. And it gives you a fun little video about what we do, sort of in an unconventional way, so I think that will hook and grab students' attentions. As far as how I organize things, this is a K-12 site, so I tried to keep things in line with the elementary, middle school, and high school sections of my school. When I was putting things together for elementary, I tried to keep things as orderly as possible while using graphics. I didn't want to use a list of databases or materials because I felt that for the lower grades, especially kindergartners and first graders, that would be overwhelming and maybe a little bit intimidating. So I felt that using the graphics would be a fun way to get them to click on sites and to figure out what they are and to use them. So that was my logic there. As far as what and why my site includes what it includes, it's hard to create a K-12 site without the content becoming overwhelming. And so I tried to focus on creating a balance of work and fun. So in the work, I've got a variety of different tools for reading, for researching, and then within the teaching aspect of it, I've got a variety of different units, tutorials for teachers, that kind of a thing. And then as far as playing goes, I've got creating, which can go both ways. It can help you create a topic or a presentation or project for curriculum, or it can just be something that you play with. And in the playing section, I've got a list of different fun educational games that students can play with throughout the day when they have time. In this section, I added a gaming suggestion for elementary, middle, and high school students. The main focus here is for elementary students, but I think I might get a little bit of a little bit of feedback from middle school and high school, but it's mainly geared towards elementary. But again, all feedback is welcome. I think that the elementary students in particular are going to like suggesting something and then seeing it in a couple days being added to the right-hand column here. And I think that's going to give them enjoyment in seeing their suggestions being taken into consideration and being added to the list. So they themselves are creators of this site and they can help dictate what gets put into here. One struggle that I had when creating content for K-12 was the drop-down menus. Some of the drop-down menus that you click on, especially creating and reading, lead you nowhere. You get to this white site. And again, I wanted to stick with things that were very minimalist and not overwhelming. And I wasn't really sure what to put in these sites, and I didn't want to add something simply for the sake of adding it, so I just didn't add it. And as time goes on, and as we use this site more in our school, and I get feedback from teachers and students, then I can look at adding something here, but for now I'm going to leave it blank until I know what that something should be. As far as organization, I've said again that this is a K-12 site. So I've tried to keep things in order of elementary, middle, and high school. In the researching, I've done that. In the units that will eventually go in when I work with teachers on this site, I've got it sectioned out for elementary, so elementary students will know where to look. Middle school students will know where to look, and high school students will know where to look. Where my site incorporates student input, participation, and interaction is in the playing. So again, I just talked about this. On the left-hand side of the screen, I have a gaming suggestion for students to suggest possible sources to put in the playing section. Within the Google Help, I have a suggestion box here for students and teachers to suggest different tutorials that we can put within the help section here to help them in their day-to-day teaching or learning. This is geared more towards middle school, high school, and teachers, but again, suggestions are welcome from any student. And then in the Knowledge Learning Center itself, I have several areas for student input and interaction. And one of those spots is in Resources under Workspaces. I've created a tablet for students to type in their report project or their topic. And this will give me an opportunity to look at their topic and help them focus if they need it, if their topic is too big or too small and I'm afraid that they might not find information on their topic. Here's where I can identify that, or I can always meet with them in person. I also have another spot for student input in the questions and comments of my Knowledge Building Center. This is sort of a midpoint review where they make one comment about what they're learning. If students are having troubles, they can comment on other classmates' questions here, or I can do that. This again is also a place where we can check in with students and meet with them personally, or give them prompts here on Padlet. And in the reflection, I've got a Google Forms that asks for student input on the sources that we've provided as far as the databases, the library books, and the websites for this project, whether or not they found them helpful, if there was other things that they found helpful, should we add them, why or why not. And again, another Padlet, just as in end of the project reflection, something fun, share one strange Egyptian fact, tradition, or ritual that you've learned about. The Knowledge Building Center itself is geared towards high school students. I created a catchy topic as well as included a catchy picture that I think will kind of gross some students out. I've got links to helping them getting started in the resourcing process. Some of these pages don't have content on them, but I've specified what content will go there when I meet with the teacher. I've created a list of different sources and workspaces and tutorials to help them get through this process, as well as an area for questions and comments, and then again, the end of the process reflection. The literacy section is in the reading. So here's where students can go to our ALEKS online database and find a library book. They can have access to Carnegie Library where we can link books to them, we can check out books for them, we can put holds on stuff. This is a link to what I should read next. It is a site that analyzes the favorite books or recommendations of students, so they can type in a title or an author here, and a list of books similar to that title or similar to that book will pop up that they might want to read. Sort of what Amazon does, where it will say, people who have checked out this book recommend this. So this is what this site is geared towards. And I wanted to link to something like Amazon, but I was afraid with the consumerism and the ads and the by this kind of an atmosphere that this was a little bit more appropriate for this spot. It lists different sources for book reviews, the different ebooks that we have. This needs some work, and that is something that I will do in the future with input from students and staff. But again, it links to Lexile Levels, the different magazines that we subscribe to, and Accelerated Reader, where elementary and middle school students in our school have a points database where they can read, take tests, test their knowledge and their comprehension, and then get prizes from the library. And as far as what I would change in the future, I would change where these tabs lead. So when you click on something like this and you get this white page, I would change this in the future. But again, I didn't want to put information here simply for the sake of putting information. I wanted to leave it blank and get input and really make what this spot leads to meaningful. It's, like I said, this is a K-12 site, and it is difficult at times to try to figure out what information should go where. But I think overall, I've done a good job of trying to incorporate as much as possible without it being overwhelming and without it being confusing as to how to navigate through this site. So, thank you very much.